How's it going, guys? Coffee here. Today I wanted to go over how to level on Sorc in Season 2. And for this, you want to start off, you put, again, these early points into Fireball. You're putting 2 points into Fireball itself, 1 point into Greater Fireball. You're just putting 2 points into Arc Lash, and then you're going to navigate down, and you are going to end up putting points into Flame Shield, Teleport, and Frost Nova, and you put a second point into Flame Shield to grab the movement speed. At this point, we're going to go ahead and go over to Domhain Tunnels from Saragar here. Once you're in there, you are just going to continue to push through this. At this point, we're going to end up finishing off the extra traits here for Teleport, and for Frost Nova we're going through to Shimmering Teleport, and then we're pushing down through Mystical Frost Nova. As soon as you have those, you're going to push Fireball to level 5, and then we will be navigating down and we'll start to put our points into Firewall, going through Mage's Firewall. At around level 15 is where we're going to be seeing the biggest changes. At level 15, you will have your Firewall will be fully leveled, and then you will have put 1 point into Inferno. Let's go ahead and showcase what the tree will look like here at level 15. So at level 15, your build will look as such. You will have your 2 points in Arc Lash here. You will end up having 5 points in Fireball, 1 point in Enhanced Fireball, the 2 points here, 1 in each of these. And then you will have your 5 points in Firewall. Pushing over to this right here, you'll have your 1 point in Inferno. And at this point, this is where you end up wanting to go and do your class quest. So after finishing the pushing to level 15 in Domhain Tunnels, you want to go back to town. You want to make sure you upgrade your potion. So if you don't have the Galavine or the Bitterberry required to go to get that yet, then make sure that you go and grab that real fast, upgrade your potion. You should be able to find some of these basically directly south of town if you didn't already grab some on the way to Domhain Tunnels before. While you're running down here as well, just grab more berries as you see them, because you are going to need them to upgrade your potions again. And we're just going to go ahead and navigate over here all the way to the lower left hand corner to the class quest here. Once we are at the class quest, we're going to go ahead and run into the dungeon. The item that we need for the dungeon does not require that we complete any steps in the dungeon, so you're pretty much just going to be killing your way over to the left side of the map, or the right side of the map rather. Over here, pretty much at this point, with the maximum points that you have in both Fireball and Firewall, Fireball gets bonus damage from Firewall being down. So primarily you are just using Firewall, and we're mainly just using Fireball for the enchant. But once your Firewalls are actually down and you have things Frost Nova, at that point this is where you can again throw a nice Fireball on there, and it will take a bonus damage on the Fireball from the burning damage that's actually on the enemy. So you want to make sure you're taking advantage of that again. So you're throwing your Firewall down, and then with additional mana, if things are actually standing on the Firewall, then at that point you'll actually Fireball for the AoE. Otherwise you're just going to continue to go. And again, we're just basically, we're not trying to actually complete the dungeon here, so you don't need to worry about really killing too much. I kill some stuff here for some gear and for some extra EXP, just because I have cooldowns up for it. So again, you see here, again, we're just going for getting our Firewalls down. And then we are getting a Firewall out to kill things. And then we're just moving forward still with the quest. Again, we're not interacting with any of the actual dungeon itself stuff. You can actually complete the dungeon if you want to. You end up completing a decent chunk of it from this. But if you don't want to and you're just trying to actually speed things up, then you don't actually have to do this dungeon in any degree. So as you see here, we're still just going to be pushing all the way to the right in order to get the quest item that we need. If it's not in this upper room, then it's just going to be in this room that's going to be right below it. There you go. So once we get this and kill the monsters around us, we're just able to leave dungeon, and then we will go and start to complete the class quest. Class quest itself, it's not hard. We just basically talk to the guy, kill a few minions here, and then once we are completed the quest, you want to make sure you hit K, and you need to go and equip the Fireball enchant. We are going to be using the Fireball enchant, and then at level 30 we'll be using Fireball and Meteor enchants. Once you hit level 15 and you have completed your class quest, at this point you want to go and get 2 build required aspects, and that is you need to go get Aspect of Control, and then you need to go and get your Prodigy's aspect. Prodigy's aspect comes from Witchwater, which I included a picture of, and it is down over here in Hawazar. So you can see Witchwater right here. If you again hit O and you go into the codex, you can search and get a navigated path directly to this. And then the second aspect you want to go ahead and get is you want to go to Sunken Library, which is going to be right here above the Yashari Sanctum here. So you end up wanting to get these two. Your Aspect of Control, you basically are going to put it on an amulet, and you're pretty much going to use this amulet. If you can find one that's good, just put it on the first amulet you find. You're going to basically be using it until you actually find like a solid one like this with some mana cost reduction, some mastery skill, things like that. And then you're just going to take any ring you have, and you're going to go ahead and put Prodigy's aspect on it. If you do happen to get lucky enough to get either of these as a drop on a nice piece of gear, my recommendation is to just use it on that piece of gear. Like, don't extract it yet, like especially if you get a really high roll. Just use it on that piece of gear regardless of what the stats are on the gear, and then later on when you either get a duplicate of it at a high level, or when you actually find a piece of gear that you know you're going to be using for a specific or for like a significant amount of time, then at that point you can go ahead and extract it and put it on that item, but I wouldn't waste it before that. So when you end up hitting around level 35, 36, this is where I recommend you take Fireball off of your bar and you turn it into an enchant only. At this point, it will only be used for enchant, and at this point you have enough points in additional burning damage to where you can be using Firewall and Inferno only for all of your damage. And then you can use the ice armor here to ensure that you have your extra defenses. And we're going to end up pushing this to level 40 with this specific tree here in order to go and do the capstone around level 40 if you want to. You can continue to push on this, it doesn't really matter, but in my case I typically push this around level 40. In my tests this was comfortable to do and easy to do, so you can kind of push from there, and then you can kind of work your way into tier 3 from there. For the capstone dungeon that you are doing at level 45, or level 40 rather, at this point you want to ensure that you have pushed or applied any aspects that you have. If you don't have everything, the only ones that you really need, you want to ensure that you have Aspect of Control on your necklace and your Prodigy's aspect on a ring. Everything else doesn't really matter. If you have Edgemaster's aspect, that's nice. If you don't, if you only have like Stormswell or something else, that's fine. Use any other damage you can, any other crowd control duration you have. Just go ahead and equip it. If you do have something that has ranks of Firewall, you of course want that on. Anything with ranks of Fireball, you want that on as well. And then if you can get something with ranks to Blizzard, that's really good. But if you don't, basically having like a neck like this where mine is +1 to all mastery skills, this is perfect for me, because for doing the capstone dungeon, I highly recommend for the parts where you are fighting a boss, you want to take off the Fireball enchant and you want to put on the Blizzard enchant instead. This is really good uptime for damage. You'll notice a significant increase in your damage with this. So you want to ensure that you're using Blizzard enchant instead of Fireball. If you don't have a piece that is either +1 to all mastery skills or +1 to Blizzard, then just take 1 point out of Fireball and put it into Blizzard for the Capstone dungeon itself. And then let's go ahead and go over how to fight the last boss in the Capstone dungeon solo. So for this fight, you can pretty much get away with not having to worry about using your potions. You have enough healing from your other stuff that you can typically just get your healing from using cooldowns, as well as just getting multiple burns down on the ground. So you're pretty much just using your cooldowns pretty consistently. You're trying to stagger them all so that you have a barrier kind of going at all times. And then if you run into an issue, you always have your flame shield to save you in case you end up getting spiked down by anything. But pretty much, as you can see here, you pretty much just sit on top of the boss. You want to ensure that he's getting hit with the Blizzard enchant, and then you want to make sure that you are clearing the other enemies. So you can see here, if you move away from the boss while he is doing the like the 3-pronged attack like that, you can ensure that you avoid those attacks. And then worst case scenario, you always have either like flame shield, teleport, or other things to protect you to kind of tank the damage if you need to. But you can see here I pretty much stay at like 7 to 9 pots pretty much throughout the entire fight. And then I'm able to just keep myself moving here and stay away from his attacks and just basically stay on top of him with flame shield, or with Firewall rather, as well as the Blizzard enchant. And between Blizzard and your Frost Nova, you do end up actually stunning him at least a couple times throughout the fight, which is very helpful for getting more spike damage down. But pretty much you're just staying mobile, not standing still, avoiding the damage that comes, and you want to make sure that you are clearing the adds. You don't want to get swarmed by them, especially like the ranged guys. They can start to add up a lot of damage, so if you do end up finding yourself starting to get low, just make sure you are getting them cleared out. On the bright side, again, if for some reason you do end up messing this up and you end up dying, you don't have to redo the entire Capstone dungeon. You will just get teleported out to like further away, and then you can just kind of res up and go back into the fight. So if it takes you a few times to learn this, and if you're getting one shot by some of his attacks, then just learn them and you'll get better about like avoiding most of the stuff, or making sure that you save cooldowns for the more dangerous situations. But the Blizzard enchant alone should be helping a lot in regards to actually getting the fight done in a relatively quick manner without having to go like full glass cannon build and just running like a frost build in order to do this. The frost build will be doing more damage, but you'll be like way less tanky than we have on this version. So you'll have to play a lot better in terms of like what you're actually avoiding or whatnot if you do end up going with the full frost version. This way it's pretty safe and consistent. Again, we're sitting at pretty much 9 pots the whole fight. So that's a testament to just like how stable and safe the build is for actually pushing through Capstone here around level 40. Same thing goes when you see them start to send these out. If you get the one where they start to spiral back in, you want to make sure you either get away from him or use your flame shield at that point right now. So this is where I pop a flame shield because I don't want to get killed by those. If you get hit by multiple of them, they can actually spike you down, so it's always good to just be safe and pop the flame shield just in case. Other than that, keep yourself healthy, and you're just spamming those firewalls on him, and then you'll go ahead and get him down. Here, you don't really need to worry about too much of this stuff. It's basically like don't stand in things and you're going to be okay. And again, if you get in a situation like that where you can't see, that's why we have Flame Shield, and we pretty much just hold it specifically for that attack. There isn't really much other in the fight, or many other things in the fight that you need to worry about other than that. So that pretty much keeps you nice and healthy. Yeah, if you have any questions about the build, from here it's basically you just do the same thing. We're just pushing this build all the way to 50. You will end up using the Fireball and Meteor enchants for the... You will end up using Fireball and Meteor enchants for probably pushing until maybe level 70 or so. It's once you actually start getting the Paragon points for burning damage and like the multipliers, things like that on there, is when you can move away from the Fireball enchant and you can run, and at that point you can run the Firewall enchant instead. Firewall as in W instead of ball. You can, at that point is when you're going to want to swap to like the end game tree that I have posted in the other video. And then, yeah, that's when you're pretty much just on pure burning and you're not actually relying on fireball explosions for any additional clear. Yeah, other than that, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below and I'll be more than happy to answer them. And I'll be starting on this tomorrow. So I'll be updating it if I make any adjustments to anything I've mentioned before or find any new interactions. So other than that, see you in the next one.